Hi guys, welcome to another bowling video. So in today's video, it is kind of like a reaction video where I watched through all the US Open videos from all the prominent bowling YouTubers, and I sort of do and react plus explain their thought process, what they're saying, what they're going through, what lines they're playing, and so on. So basically, this is to get my to have a perspective to sort of like get my perspective as a bowling coach, reacting to the conditions, right, and the scoring conditions, wherever is happening at the US Open. So I'll probably try my best to edit through this. I'll watch through as many of the videos as I can, and I'll provide commentary and like analysis on most of them. Okay, so we'll start with the first video here. This is from the House Bowling, obviously from Packy Hanrahan.
Welcome back. We got day one of the US Open.
Okay, so a bit of context before I proceed with the Packy Hanrahan video. So let's take a look at the oil condition, right? So I think this, when Packy shot this video, he is referring to day one of qualifying. Correct? Yeah, day one of qualifying. So let's take a look. Let me get the oil pattern for day one. So by the way, guys, you can get the so-called the details for the US Open at bow.com/tournaments and just look for US Open. You just go to bow.com, look for US Open. There's results, information like the oil patterns, the results after round two. Let's see if round three results are out. Nope, round three results are not posted yet, but round two results are out. Thomas Larson is currently in the lead as of the day of recording this video, which is qualifying round two. And let's have the oil pattern for day one. Let's load it up. Okay. So for the day one oil pattern, it is a 49 feet pattern. So 49 feet for context is actually pretty long. Let me shift myself probably over to this side. Okay. Okay. So for the 49 feet pattern is actually pretty long. Okay. So the 49 feet pattern here is actually considered pretty long. So the typical like medium pattern for most bowling tournaments is typically around 40 to about 45. That's the typical medium pattern. Anything that's shorter than 38 feet is considered short, like 32 to 35 is short, and anything that's longer than 45 is considered a longish pattern. So this is 49 feet, as you can see here. So this is considered a long pattern. And the challenge for this as well is that this is a really flat pattern as well. It's not the flattest pattern. Flattest pattern will be on day three. That is totally 1:1. So what we mean by flat is that, as you can see on the chart here, right, the oil has almost no shape to it at all. It is actually almost flat. The only a little bit of shape that we can see is that the middle to outside right here is 1:1.25. So there is a little bit of shape like somewhere in the middle, but there's almost no shape to it at all. You can consider it like almost 1:1 throughout. Okay, there's no oil on boards 1 to 3. But yeah, but most of the time as we look through the videos, because I already watched through some of the videos, the general consensus is that it is there's no missed room to the left or right, like we will see later in the videos, right? So this is a flat pattern. It's a long and flat pattern. Okay, so that's the context. Okay, so one thing to note here is that if you look at how Packy is throwing as well as how Kevin Williams is throwing, right? They are both lefty two-handers. Maybe I'll just soften the volume here. Is that they are throwing more of a forward roll. If you look at the rotation, especially for Kevin Williams. Let's take a look at Kevin Williams' shot. So this Packy's best shot. Okay, another shot from Packy. Maybe I'll fast forward a little bit. Okay, so this is Kevin Williams' shot, right? Reverse a little bit. Okay, you can see that he's almost going purely forward roll. Almost going purely forward roll. Let's reverse a little bit. Maybe go back by a few frames. And if we watch it in slow motion, It is almost going on pure forward rotation. It is almost like zero degrees of axis rotation. It's probably like only like 5 to 10 degrees of axis rotation. So a lot of it going forward. If we watch later, let me go to like Brad and Kyle, right? And we watch, fast forward a little bit. Yep, so we can take a look at Brad's shot here. So basically, you will find that most of the bowlers for a start, they are almost going purely forward roll. Okay, so I'll just repeat that again. Just pay attention to Brad Miller's roll. Yeah, there's almost zero axis rotation on the shot. So meaning like the ball is just going like forward, it's just going end over end forward. It's kind of hard to describe it, but I'll play it again on the screen. Like you can see that his ball is just going purely forward, right? That's something I noticed, which is like I think this is my initial reaction as well. My initial feeling is that once I see this really long and really flat pattern, my initial reaction to it is that I'm not going to put side rotation on it, because the ball is not going to have as much shape down the lane because there's so little dry on the back. There's only about 10 feet of dry at the back for my ball to hook, so my ball is probably not going to see too much shape. And in order to get to the pocket and to get my ball to pick up early enough, I need to give it forward rotation so that it picks up early on the lane. Okay, so you can see that Brad is throwing mostly forward roll, Kevin Williams is throwing mostly forward roll as well. But the downside to that, as you can see the split from Kevin Williams there, is that with a lot of pure forward rotation, you don't get much entry angle into the pocket. And we have Ryan similarly here, also going mostly forward. They have a little bit of side rotation. This is Chris Prater. You can see Chris Prater's ball has a little bit of side rotation, but not too much, right? Probably about 5, probably 15. Oh, this shot has more axis rotation, so from Chris Vi. So you can see that Chris Vi actually in that shot, he gave it a little bit side rotation and it reacts awfully violently, goes high into the pocket. So I think the pro bowlers, they are trying to get a little bit more forward rotation and just keep it going straight, right? Because they want to just get to the pocket. They don't want the ball to like go through the nose. They don't want the ball to go cross pocket and so on. And in order to do that, they control the roll, they give it more end over end roll so that it just stays online a little bit better and it picks up enough to drive through the pocket. Because with the longer pattern, right, what they're afraid of is that their ball just skids all the way and it doesn't pick up. Because looking at the volume here, it's long and it is of a slightly higher volume, not as high as the Singapore Open pattern, but also of a slightly higher volume. So high volume plus the fact that it is a long pattern, the ball might struggle to pick up. So I see Packy here was using a sanded ball. Kevin Williams is also using a sanded mat ball here. Yep, to try and get the ball to pick up early. This particular bowler here, Cameron Crowe, was using purple hammer. Use a urethane. Francois Lavoie would be a favorite to win this tournament, right? Because when the oil patterns are really flat, Francois Lavoie has already won the US Open at least once or twice because he's just highly renowned as a really good shot maker. He's really precise. When there's no room for error, you would expect Francois Lavoie to come out on top because he's just really, really precise as a bowler. It doesn't have the most ref rate, doesn't have the most power or ball speed, but he's definitely one of the most accurate bowlers in the world. Okay, you can see even on that test shot, Packy is just rolling it forward, right? The ball just goes forward roll most of the time. Very little axis rotation on the shot. Very little side roll or very little axis rotation. But as you can see that it didn't strike there, right? Yeah. So even with the swishing pin action, he still didn't get the strike because with when you have less axis rotation, the problem comes whereby you don't have a lot of entry angle to the pocket. And this will actually, Francois Lavoie is maybe a little bit advantaged by his lower ref rate. Like he can give it a little bit more side rotation, but because of his lower ref rate, his ball doesn't react as strongly on the pattern. Like the ball just skids, goes further. So it stays on line a little bit better. Ball choice there, Packy was using a Brunswick Defender. So if we look at Brunswick Defender stats, it is actually an asymmetric ball, solid reactive. So he's going for the solid cover stock, the standard matte cover stock with 500 to 200 grit. And he's probably bowling with a 16 or 15 pound. So the RG is kind of on the lower RG end. So it will roll a little bit early. High differential, it reacts a little bit strongly as well. Might be a little bit too strong in my opinion, but he's just throwing it with as little axis rotation as possible. So take note that you will see later in Brad's video that they're limited to actually 10 balls for the tournament. So Jake Peters makes an interesting choice here. They are going it a lot deeper. As per, I don't know who this bowler is. Is it Chris Sloan? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Like, can see them going a little bit deeper. So as they burn up the direct line here for the right-handers, they're starting to move deeper. But you can see that their break point, they don't stray too far, so they keep their break point to within like 12 to 14. So they don't want the ball to go too far to the right because there's too much oil there. The oil pattern is a little bit too long. So if you send it too far to the right, it barely recovers. So this is Brad Miller. So you can see Brad Miller's breakpoint was... so the breakpoint is where the ball starts to hook. So it's around here. Let's draw a line from the ball to the lane. That is about 13. Yep. So his breakpoint is about 13 because this is 10. Second arrow is 10. So his breakpoint is about 13. It's pretty close to the pocket. So keeping their breakpoints really tight to the pocket. Let's watch Brad Miller's shot again. Yep, so he's giving it a little bit side rotation because he is moving it deeper, but still gets that wrap 10. Yeah, you can see that the ball just fails to pick up, it fails to shape down the lane. So I think in this falling shot, Packy goes like a little bit diagonal. He's still throwing relatively straight, but he shifts a bit to the left. Yep, and goes a little bit diagonal.
180 with some bad breaks, some not great shots, and a little bit of confusion of what was going on in the lane. So for tomorrow, got to stay a little simpler. Wasn't pretty.
Okay, Packy was really struggling there. You can see that he started decently well. Like any game above 200 is considered actually a pretty good game on the tough patterns of the US Open. And let's go and watch the second one.
The old Porsche 944.
Sponsor. Alright, day one of competition. We have the 49-foot pattern. Now we just got up here to watch Ronnie bowl. He's bowling B squad, Brad bowls C squad. They're hard. Like, I think 6 people went plus the first block. 6 people are the best bowlers that you can think of went plus, average 200.
Yeah, so you can see that Kyle Sherman here says the pattern is hard. In one block, I don't know how many bowlers are in one block, but basically one block is like 8 games. So when plus, that means they average above 200. So only 6 people of that first block of bowlers average above 200. So it's really hard.
How we'll describe what's going on in this pattern. So it's 49 feet, pretty flat. The ball cannot go right. For a right-hander, it cannot have any angle to the right off your hand. The issue, what makes this pattern really hard, is that if you really hit it on it, this building in the fronts, it'll get offline really early in the front part of the lane. So even if you're going really up the lane and you hit it too hard, it's gonna hook early and go right through the face. But the ball doesn't have any shape to it down lane. So if you're getting that ball right at all, it's never shaping into the pocket. So if it doesn't, basically what I'm saying is if it doesn't look like it's gonna hit the pocket at 30 feet, it's not hitting the pocket at all. So they're really hard, only 6 people went plus. I think these next 2 squads will probably figure it out a little bit more. When you get these drastic patterns, it's really important, or it's a really big advantage to see like, oh, this person did this and did it really, really well. So because when you get these drastic patterns, you usually have to do like one thing, and that's what people score well with. So we're gonna watch our boy Ronnie. Hopefully you can throw together some good games here. Brad's gonna get a...
Okay, so just let me try to explain how I interpret Kyle's message over there, right? So let's see if I can get a picture of a lane up. Give me a moment. Okay, so how I interpret what Carl was saying is that if let's imagine if this is our lane, right? So if we were to draw, it's like because the pattern I mentioned is 49 feet and it's really thick oil, it's so flat. If you were to miss to the right, that means you can't open up your angle. So let me maybe choose a little bit of a thicker line. So you can't really send it to the right like this, because if you send it to the right, like you're sending it like this is board 10 at the breakpoint, your ball just goes zoop, straight into the gutter, right? Or even if it does start to hook, it will pick up a bit too late, and by the time it hooks and it doesn't finish into the pocket, right? So you miss the pocket entirely. Yeah, and you might the worst thing you can leave is a washout, a PBA washout, which is very hard to spare. You might have an open frame. So what they're trying to do is to keep it straight. And Kyle mentioned something about the house or the lanes, like if you hit it too hard, it picks up early and it goes high. So I think what he's trying to say is that if it's like halfway down the lane, if you like give it too high a ref rate, if you hit it too hard, that means you ref the ball a bit too hard, it starts to pick up friction on the lane a little bit too early, and it starts to hook a bit way too early, and it doesn't go flush into the pocket. Because take note that they're trying to keep their lines relatively straight, correct? So that means they're trying to play really, really straight lines, like maybe something like this, right? They keep it in like the breakpoint is probably like 12, 13, like something like this. So what they're worried about is that if they hit it too hard and the ball hooks too early, so it like halfway down the lane, probably around here, it starts to hook, right? So it starts to pick up on its hooks and it goes cross pocket or high into the center pins, and it might give them a split. Because what they want is the ball to like go far enough to the end of the pattern. They don't want it to hook a little bit too early. They want it to hook at just the right time. And he mentioned that it's really hard because you don't get the shape, so you can't really like send it. You can't like let me use blue here, right? So you can't like send it out here and then expect the ball to like shape and curve nicely into the pocket. So this kind of shape is non-existent on the pattern number 1 for the US Open. So they're trying to get maybe just a little bit of a shape, something like this, probably like this, and then towards the end of the pattern, just a little bit, like a little bit. And if it goes light pocket, they're happy with it. If it goes solid pocket, they're happy. If they get a pin 10, they'll have to live with it, pick up the spare, and move on. So they're just aiming for like 200 games. So they're not aiming for like 250 average, they're not aiming for like 230 average, they're just trying to like squeeze out 200 games.
The game plan for what he does, and yeah, let's go check him out.
Okay, as you mentioned, if you watch Ronnie's roll, he's actually going mostly forward roll. This is Ronnie Vegeta, he's throwing it mostly with forward rotation. Because he just, like I mentioned, you don't want to get too much side rotation because you don't want the ball to like curve away too much. And I believe this is a bowler from the European region as well. I saw him in the Ball Master Open against Jasper Svensson, a very good two-hander.
There's a lot of, you throw a shot, it doesn't do what you want. You make the move, it doesn't do what you want. You make the move, it doesn't do what you want. You change balls, make a big move, it doesn't do what you want. There's a lot of like failing going on because the pattern is just brutal. So you know that going in, and if you could keep your emotions super steady, then it gives you kind of an edge on the people who don't. And I used to be that guy, so.
Yep. So just to reflect a little bit about what Carl was saying there is, what Brad Miller was saying there is that because the patterns are so difficult, so what he's mentioning is that you try something, it doesn't work. You try like changing a hand position, it doesn't work. You try changing a ball, it doesn't work. You try changing a line, you don't get a strike again. Then you finally find something that can get you to the pocket, but you can't strike. You get like a pin 10. So there's a lot of failing and frustration, and it really tests your mental strength. So what he's saying is that he used to be that kind of guy who gets really frustrated when he doesn't get the strikes, no, he doesn't get the carry, he gets splits, and he loses control of his emotions, and it spirals out of control. So his games will go downhill and downhill because he gets more and more out of focus, right? Out of focus with his own game of how his, of himself just executing his shots, instead just getting frustrated at the situation. But everybody is facing the same situation, right? So everybody is having a really tough scoring pace. Scoring pace is really low. Everybody is struggling to get strikes. Everybody just wants like a clean game just to get a flat 200. So now he has learned throughout the years in the PBA Tour is that whenever the conditions are tough, he actually has to stay really level, stay really grounded. That means stay calm, stay patient, and just expect that it is difficult. Like expect to bowl 180s, 190s, 200s. He doesn't expect himself to bowl like maybe a lot of 250s or like 260s. So if he gets any 250s, 260s, obviously he will take it. But he just wants to stay calm, make his spares, make sure he executes his shots properly, stay in the right frame of mind. And through his experience, that is how he can get ahead of the rest of the competition, by having a really good mental game.
Kind of an edge on. So when we bowl PBA events, this truck is just slammed. I mean, basically every second, there's people putting balls up here. You see there's no balls up here because we have to check in 10 and then we can't drill until they make the cut. So that's why he's just getting stuff done.
And I'm here in case you guys break something.
Heck yeah, man. This guy saves our life. These guys on the truck, I don't know what we would do.
Come
on, Killer Trev.
What's up, Dennis?
How'd it go?
It went well. 76
So
over.
so basically, what Brad Miller mentioned earlier was that for the PBA there's no ball limit, but for the US Open, I think they introduced maybe a few years back a 10 ball limit. So the bowlers can check in 10 balls at the start of the qualifying phase, start the 3-day qualifying phase, and they cannot change any of the 10 balls out. So those 10 balls have to be the exact same balls. They can't drill new balls until once they make the cut and they get into, I think, the match play portion, then they can have maybe a limited number of balls that they can drill instead. Yeah. So so obviously when it comes to the tactical aspect, right, what balls to choose, it becomes really important. So when they look at the pros or the competitors, when they look at the 3 patterns on the website, they try and make an educated guess of what kind of balls they would need for the fresh, what kind of balls they would generally need for the transitions. That means when the lanes start to burn up and dry up, and what balls to use that they need for sparing, obviously, to pick up the spares, and then what balls to use when the lane gets really dry. That means at the end of the 8-game block, in the last maybe 7-8 game, what kind of balls to use and so on. So they have to make an educated guess and try and build like a general arsenal that they can use for all 3 days. So this really tests like the bowler's skill instead of just their equipment choice, because you kind of like have to make a general educated guess of what equipment you can send out, and then whatever situation you face on the lanes itself during competition, you just have to fine-tune it. Like you can either they have to fine-tune it with their touch, right? That means their hand position, they have to control with their ball speed, their ball axis rotation, and stuff like that. Take note that nowadays in PBA tournaments and for the US Open especially, right, I think right after practice starts, that means after they finish their practice shots, they can no longer alter the surface of the ball. So it used to be that bowlers can alter the surface in between games. I don't know when the PBA changed this, but now they can no longer even alter the surface. So whatever, if their ball has a lane shine on it, after like 1 or 2 games, they will just have to adapt to that lane shine. So it further like tests the bowler's ability to adapt to different situations.
I don't know, and I think that I'm losing my soul. And now I feel numb for the pain, and I don't got nothing to gain. So I'm
Yeah, you can see Brad in most of his shots here, he is throwing mostly forward roll. That means he's trying just to get his get behind the ball, so get his hand behind the ball and having as little axis rotation on the ball as possible. I mean, not totally zero axis rotation. He still needs a little bit of axis rotation to get some decent entering angle. You can see Sean Monono here has a little bit more axis rotation on it, but he's playing a little bit deeper left, just slightly deeper left. Yep. Yeah, Francois, as I mentioned in the earlier part, yeah, he'll be a strong competitor in the US Open because he's really good shot maker. Very precise, very accurate. Yeah, you can see that pin carry is difficult because if you
Alright, so we're done with game 4, and we just
because if you can't get axis rotation on your shot, it's very difficult to get to create entry angle, and if you don't have entry angle, it's pretty difficult to get consistent strikes.
accreditation for my 3 200s in a row.
Just rubbing in my face. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, earlier you mentioned that you just got 3 200 in a row, so it's actually pretty good. So like Brad Miller it's just aiming to get 200s. Anything above 200 is happy, and you just aim to stay there. Yeah, this part was actually pretty funny for me, because like Richard Tees gets a strike and then he's like looks behind. His shirt is like, oh, who's the guy that just threw that shot? Oh, who's the guy that just got the carry? Oh, it's me, Richard Tees. So that kind of British sense of humor there. Yep. So as you can see, as the lanes dry up, right, the bowlers are shifting inwards, right? So they're going left, and they are having a little bit more angle to the pocket. So as you can see, when Brad Miller gets a little bit more deeper into the lanes, he's starting to give the ball a little bit more axis rotation. So you can see now he's like going around the ball a little bit more. Jake Peters here also goes around the ball a little bit more, but they're not giving it a lot of axis rotation, because take note that their angles are still rather shallow to the pocket. So when it's rather shallow to the pocket, they don't want to give it so much axis rotation that it hooks early. They're giving it probably about 20 to 35 degrees of axis rotation tops. They're not even giving it 45, about 20 to 30 degrees of axis rotation. And you can see that they're struggling to carry because, in my experience, if you're playing so deep, typically you need at least 45 degrees of axis rotation, but then again, the conditions dictate that they can't give it too much axis rotation or else they lose control of the pocket, like their ball will hook too early. So yeah, it's challenging, man. It's like you want to give it more axis rotation, but you don't dare to because you're afraid that your ball overhooks. But if you don't give it enough axis rotation, you can't get the strike. So you're stuck with, just really grinding it out, just trying to get the ball to the pocket and just picking up whatever spare there is.
Beauty of the US Open is, especially Kyle last year, I mean, he struggled the first few days and then went like 300 over on a block and jumped the whole field, actually. It actually just went literally. So yeah, that could always happen, and that could happen like, the last game of the last day, so definitely got to be patient. Hard patterns. Expecting tomorrow to be hard, even though it's supposed to be a little softer. A lot of rev rate.
I think you and Ronnie both bowled better than what your scores showed today. But
Yep. So what Brad Miller was mentioning is that because the patterns were so hard, I mean, they kind of like want to, because the patterns are so hard, so as long as you can stay like slightly 200 average and above, you're good. Even if you're not like leading the squad, as long as you're still in striking range, because once you hit a good pair or a good day, right, of qualifying and you score really well on that day, you can make up for a lot of the difference and then jump right into the leaders blocks and go into match play and stuff like that.
Lead to my right.
except for the leader, Richie.
And then Richie Tees.
Now Richie Tees, dog.
I know, that's a guy I can get lined up off of. What ball was he throwing?
That bird.
Eternity.
I was gonna say.
Guess what ball I don't have?
Yeah. So Brad Miller mentioned about the Eternity, which is one of the new bowling balls. So maybe let's just check it out, right? Let me search for it. Okay, because Richard Tees was using this ball and then he was kind of like almost leading the block. So the Eternity is actually an asymmetrical like a pearl ball. You can see here low RG, relatively mid to high differential with PSA. So relatively strong ball, but it's actually pearl. So yeah, that was the ball that actually gives Richard Tees actually just pretty good results, because its per cover stock meant it skidded through the lane. It went long through the lanes, but because of the asymmetric core, even for a one-hander, it just turned the corner enough for it to probably go into the pocket, and with enough hit striking power.
Then a lot of the shots that you would normally throw that don't split are now splitting, so it's easier to be hard on yourself. So we're not gonna fall into that trap. So we are outie. We're going to bed. Ronnie's got A squad. I got B squad tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. Check out the merch. Check out the membership. BradandKyle.com. You can find everything there. We'll see you guys later.
Okay, so what Brad was mostly saying there was about trying to stay in a good frame of mind, right? Just trying to stay positive.
Told me numerically, but just according to the pace.
Wait, give me a moment. 15 hours. This is from 8 hours. Oh, okay. So I'm watching this out of sequence. Let's watch this first. So now we're watching videos from Darren Tang, obviously another pro bowler, and this is his earlier video on the US Open. So let's watch this first. This is, I think, day 1, and this is probably covering like day 2 of the US Open. So let's watch his coverage of day 1.
Are you thinking?
So you can see in the video here, a lot of the guys are sanding down their balls. Yep, so that's my initial impression when I saw the oil pattern as well, because it was a long pattern. I would probably want a solid cover stock when I bowl on the fresh on this pattern, because I want the ball to pick up early. But as the lanes get beat up with like urethane balls or whichever solid balls, right? Then when you need to transition, that's where they go to like pearl cover stocks, what generally they call it cleaner cover stocks.
Looking twice.
I got well, there's a lot of oil in a large portion of the lane, but the little strips on the outside, there's none whatsoever. Bro, I'm trying to film video here. A lot of oil in the middle lane, there's none on the outside. So the 3 boards closest to the gutter on each side have 0 oil. So if the ball gets to those boards, it immediately hooks, and then it doesn't hook. Yeah, and then it slides through all that oil until it gets to the end of the oil pattern, which is 49 feet. So it kind of plays tricks to your eyes, because it's kind of, you want to get it to hook early because the oil pattern is so long, but it just hooks so early. It's very deceiving to the eyes, but it's
Okay, so kind of maybe, yeah, I do understand what Chris Vile is saying, so maybe I'll try my best to explain it. So lane chart here, let's look at oil pattern again, right? For bowlers who just probably tune into the middle of the that they didn't, or you didn't remember the pattern. So that's the day 1 US Open pattern, whereby it's really long, it's 49 feet and a lot of oil, 31 milliliters in volume, but there's no oil at all on the last 3 boards on both the left and right. So what Chris Vile was saying is that because there's so when you throw the ball down, let's say you land the ball at like board 5, right? So around here, your ball skids. But for Darren, he sends his ball out to about board 2 to 3. So once his ball hits here, it starts to hook because there's 0 oil here. So the ball hooks, it goes back into the oil. So now it hits into the oil and the ball skids again, because take note that the pattern is really long, right? So if I use probably yellow to draw Darren's line, Darren is throwing probably around like this. So he throws out, it hits the dry really early, and then it goes back into the oil. So, I mean, it hits the dry, it starts to hook. That means you can see the ball flipping and turning and hooking, and then it goes into the oil and it skids. So yeah, it kind of hooks and then skids again. So it kind of hooks and skids. So it's kind of like, it's really tricky. So it's like it plays the tricks on your eyes, especially to most of us casual bowlers who are not used to bowling this kind of oil patterns. We don't have the experience of bowling on this kind of patterns. We like the shape that the ball produces is just yeah, we just don't understand it, but that's how it works. So yeah, so that's what that's my interpretation of what Chris is saying. There is this one.
unique.
Oh yeah, to add on to that is that because earlier we mentioned that it hits the dry here and then it goes here and it skids, right? Think note that once it hits the dry here again, the ball hooks again. So it's kind of hooking twice. So it hooks at let me try and use a circle. It hooks at this spot when it hits the dry on the outside for the line that Darren is playing, and it hooks again at the back end. So it hooks twice. So that's probably what Chris Vi was trying to say. Struggling there in the middle. Darren has 3 open frames in the middle. Definitely not looking good. So he went for a ball change after that 3 open frames. So Darren he changed to a much stronger ball. I'm not too sure what the ball is. Probably maybe an altered reality or reality, or whereby it's more of a solid cover stock. Probably is in.
How it is. It comes and goes real quick. Hopefully we get some.
Yeah. So he had a good game.
Hard to find. Close now though. In the pocket. Might have to make some changes though. Just never know. Got to keep it in play a little better.
Yeah. So what Darren is trying to say is that I mean, he had a good game and then he had a really terrible game the next 154. So he lost a lot of his lead, and he's just trying to like keep it in the pocket a bit better. That means kind of like just get his ball to hit the pocket a little bit better, not try to leak it too far to the right, because when he sends it too far to the right, the ball is not coming back, like I mentioned earlier for day one's pattern. Yep, so maybe backtrack a little bit. So Tom Smallwood here is a motive staffer and he's using a motive pride. If I remember correctly, let's check out motive pride. Yep, he's using a motive pride Empire actually, so one of the newer motive pride balls. So Tom Smallwood using, so motive pride Empire is actually an asymmetric ball, as you can see here. Asymmetric with pearl. So it's a pearl ball as well. So I mentioned that as the lane transitions, a lot of them are switching over to pearl balls to try and get the ball to skid through the fronts a little bit better, because they don't want the ball to hook too early. So they're using pearl balls to get the ball to skid a bit further so that it doesn't hook as early. But they're still using asymmetric calls though, especially, I mean, for the one-handers, they just feel like they need that little bit of extra hitting power. So asymmetric call actually is not too 2.5 of RG. It's actually not too low. It's actually a little bit on the higher end. So it's a mid-range asymmetric ball. Medium in differential as well, and intermediate diff is definitely on the lower side. 0.1, so 0.42 of maximum differential for 15 pounds. Yeah, this is not too strong of asymmetric bowling ball. It's actually kind of mid-level, like a mid-range asymmetric bowling ball. And yeah, so correct. So as the lanes transition, they're switching over to asym balls, but and with pearl cover stocks, so that it skids through the fronts a little bit better. Not too sure what ball Darren is using here. Yep, if anyone knows what ball Darren is using here, you can put it down in the comments below.
Well, 220 is a pretty good pair. Get back and swing at things. We had a little 100 under for 3 after that 240.
Not too bad with
Nice
that ball
change.
change.
You just gotta make the right moves, kind of bounce back and forth. Penalty for a lot
You're
of
30
shots.
under now, right? You're only 30 under?
30 under, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
20 game left. Keep put up some, decent shots. We'll let the scores speak for themselves, but just gonna try to do what I can. Make the right moves.
What ball are you in now?
Phase 2. Let's get it.
Okay, so Darren did say that ball, he was using the phase 2 for that. So let's check it out. What's the stats for phase 2 there? Okay, so Darren was using the phase 2 for his transition and he scored a 224. So yeah, so it's a symmetric but solid cover stock bowling ball. So if you look at the stats for it, 2.48 RG is not exactly too low. It's a little bit like mid to low, so a bit stronger for a symmetric ball. Actually relatively high differential, 0.051. Obviously it's a symmetric ball, so there's no intermediate diff, so it doesn't have that strong snap of an asymmetric ball, but it's still pretty strong when it starts to turn. Yeah, I mean Darren just chose a solid reactive ball instead, but he chose a solid symmetric ball so that because it doesn't like pick up too early, so it still skids further down the lane, but it's still a solid. Or it could be that he didn't have actually a shiny asim that actually suits him for the transition for that particular few shots. Or it could just be a few things. It just felt like, you know, when he moves in, if this kind of conditions, he's more confident using the phase 2, and when he tried it out, it seems to carry, so he just got stuck using the ball. So there's no right or wrong answer to ball change. Sometimes it's really up to the individual bowlers. Like, you feel like this kind of ball gives you the shape that gets your ball to the pocket and gets the strikes, then just go along with it. There's no definite right or wrong answer. Okay, I wonder if Darren is still using the phase 2 here. Yeah, because it looks, I mean, I think it is. I think it's still sticking with the phase 2. And it seems to be pretty good, right? It stays on line. He doesn't leak it too far to the right. Let's try and see where's Darren's breakpoint. Maybe you can catch it in the next video. I think he's sending to around 12 to 13. I'm not super sure, but I'm guessing it's probably around 12 to 13 at the breakpoint. He's playing around 4th arrow, or is it slightly deeper than 4th arrow if I'm not wrong? Maybe 4.5 arrow. Okay, this has a slow motion shot, so he crosses at 23 at the arrows. Breakpoint is actually deeper than I thought. It's almost at 15 actually. Like so this is his breakpoint. It is 14. Yep, 14 actually. Oh, it's a lot deeper. His breakpoint. A lot deeper than I thought. Almost at 15. Considering the pocket is at 17.5, that is really, really close to the pocket.
Been 100 under the next 3. If I could take something back or improve something, definitely be those 3 games. You know, just didn't play the right part of the lane. Left a lot of stuff that was kind of hard to pick up. Missed one single pin. 3-6-10 a couple of times. 3-6-9-10 a couple of times. Spares were not the best. Didn't really bonus a whole lot, so all things considered, the score is okay. Tomorrow, hopefully we can throw some strikes together and get it going. But we just started, so I'm gonna try to stay good mentally.
Yep, so maybe to interpret, from what I interpret about Darren's comments about not playing the right part of the lane for that 3 games that he was struggling. So probably what he's trying to say is that when he started out, he was playing okay, this color is a little bit hard to see. Probably you can use red, right? So when he started out, he was using his urethane ball and playing really up the edge here and having his ball gradually hook into the pocket. So as he shifted in, he went to something like I think probably around here, and that was not the right part of the lane, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I remember him playing probably around the 3rd arrow to here. So this was not the right part of the lane for him. He was struggling to score like to 200s in that 3 games, and then finally towards the end he kind of shifted in towards here. So his line was something like this, right? Probably around here, or probably even deeper, right? He was playing around here as well. So in the end, this was his area to where he found success, where he started to score above 200 again. So he felt like he should have gone to this area. That means the 4th arrow a little bit sooner, go a little bit deeper earlier, rather than staying in the 2nd to 3rd arrow, probably the 3rd arrow zone. So the 3rd arrow zone was not the right line of attack for that particular oil pattern. Okay, so next up, let's watch one of these videos from Trevor Roberts, a smaller YouTuber. Oh, so this is day 2. Okay. So it's day 2. Yeah. So this is day 2 of the US Open, and let's take a look at day 2's oil pattern. Day 2. Yeah. Probably give it a bit context. So I think let's watch Darren's video first. So this is Darren's video on day 2. I think he explains the pattern a little bit in this video.
Always look at bowling compared to the field, not your numbers, because the numbers in reality don't really matter.
Okay.
29 under today.
Oh, okay.
I think the scoring pace was slightly higher though, so I think his score today was worse than his score yesterday. Not numerically, but just according to the pace. That's a tip for you guys out there. Always look at bowling compared to the field, not your numbers, because the numbers in reality don't really matter.
Yeah, yesterday was a very happy -35. Today is a very sad -29.
It's 43 feet. We're calling it the middle finger pattern because there's just this big strip. Yeah, it's either. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I want to address the earlier comment by Darren first. Is that he mentioned that bowling, like like when you score, always kind of like measure your score against the rest of the field rather than take it as an absolute target that you want or have to hit, right? Because some people say that to win a tournament you should average about 250. But then again, if everybody, you see the top qualifier after 2 days, Thomas Larson, is only averaging like 217. So you probably only need to average about 209 to 206, 205 is actually you're above the cut, right? As long as you're in the above the cut line, you're averaging about 206, 207, you're good. So, but I mean, in other tournaments, if the leader was averaging like 250 and there were like 50 people averaging like 230 to 240, if you're averaging 206 in that kind of tournament, then you're doing really badly. So yeah, so I think what Darren is trying to say there is that you have to look at the scoring pace, look at the general, like the bulk of the competitors, how well they're scoring, and you have to keep up with them. If not, try to get ahead of them. But yeah, so it doesn't matter if you're like scoring really low or really high. It's about where you are in the particular field of bowlers for that particular competition.
Yeah, I don't know if that's okay for you too. Yeah. Expletives. There's this big strip in the middle. We're probably going to try to keep it in that strip for as long as possible before it exits the pattern. Not really going to think about it too much though. Just going to throw a ball, see what it does, and then react to what it does. You got to throw the right balls at the right time, make the right moves, grind out the bad pairs, and hit the good ones, just like normal. We didn't really do a good job doing that yesterday, and we had minus 30, so that's a pretty good score for not... I mean, we hit the first game, but we had it. We got our score. A couple 220s I had, definitely could have been more. Could have been 240, 250. And then the bad pairs, I just didn't do the right things, and I paid the price. So hopefully today we do a little bit better job, and hopefully our scores reflect that.
Seems like white cheddar's winning, Mikey.
Beep.
Okay, so just a bit of context about what Darren was saying about the oil pattern. So if you look at the pattern for day 2 of the US Open, he called it the middle finger pattern, right? It's kind of like expletives there because everybody knows the middle finger is the universal friendship sign. So maybe I'm going to shift my face to the left so that everybody can, so the viewers can see the pattern a little bit better. So it's 43 feet, 43 feet medium distance pattern here, but there's a lot of oil right in the middle. So we got this, hence the middle finger. And if you look at the ratio, it's not too high, it's still tough because it's only 1 in the middle, and sorry, it's 1.67 volume in the middle compared to 1 on the outside. So the ratio is still not too high because as like an easy house shot pattern is like 10 in the middle and then 1 on the outside. So it's 10:1 for a typical house shot pattern. This is 1.67:1. So the ratio is like 10 times smaller. Definitely a lot more difficult. And but not as difficult as day 1 because day 1 was almost flat, right? Almost 1:1. But now there's a lot of oil in the middle. So what he's saying is that the kind of lines that they are probably trying to play is that you just want the ball to stay in the middle. So they're probably going to start deeper, like start playing around 4th arrow, and they're just going to go deeper and deeper as the day goes on, which because I already watched the video beforehand, so yeah, that's probably, I think that's what they're going to do, that's from what I remember. In every one of the videos, wherever they show Francois Lavoie, he's striking. And Francois Lavoie is just that good at the US Open because I mentioned he's really precise bowler, really good at keeping his line straight. Every YouTuber's video, when they showed Francois Lavoie, he's striking. Right, here. Whenever there's Francois Lavoie, there's a strike, right? So this man is good. So if you look at Francois Lavoie, so a bit of a sidetrack into the leaderboard, yeah, the scorers, the qualifying, the standing sheet after 2 days, after 16 games. Francois Lavoie is around... Wait, where's Francois Lavoie? Did I miss him? Yeah, I think I missed him. He should be up there. Okay, he's 14. Yeah, so Francois Lavoie is definitely doing decently well. well into the cut at 209 average plus 159. So for the newer bowlers here, when we mean plus or minus, that means plus is when you're above 200 average. So that means, let's say if you are like so this after 16 games and you are plus 160. For example, you are Michael Martell here and you're plus 168 after 16 games, so you're averaging 210.5. So it's how many points above the standard 200 average. So that's why they call it. If you're minus, so if you're minus 17, that means you are averaging 198 because you're averaging below 200 after, in this case, it's after 16 games. Okay, so that's plus or minus. So Francois Lova is doing pretty decent. So every video, whenever they show Francois Lova in the recent US Open videos, he strikes. Yep. So you can see Darren's lines. He started around 4th arrow and just going deeper and deeper left, right? So you can see here he started probably between, he was playing lines around, let's use it, maybe blue. He was playing lines around this at the start, and now he's going deeper, right? So let's take a look at this particular line. So the ball crosses from, okay, maybe can we reverse a little bit? So his break point, so his line is around here. His break point is around, this is 9 actually. It's sending out pretty far because this is a 43-foot pattern, so it's medium distance. So you can send it a bit more to the right. It's a bit easier than day one's pattern of 49 feet, but it's crossing around here, so his line is somewhere around here. It's about 25 at the arrows and about 9 at the break point. I think he's using the Eternity as well. Yeah, it looks like Darren is using the Eternity based on the color. I think the Eternity earlier I mentioned is the do I still have it up? Eternity. No, I don't have it. But basically the Eternity is the Pearl asymmetric bowling ball. It's a new ball from Storm. Okay, ball change. Yep. So he ball change down to his phase 2.
Through 2? That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's probably trying the phase 2.
Actually wasn't great game 1. Had to make a ball change. Didn't make the greatest shots, but
good grinding, right? Is this what we call good grinding?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'll take 6 more of those.
Yeah.
Yep. So he didn't start with Eternity. He went to the Eternity after like second game and so on. Yep, so you're going deeper. Even Francois Lavoie is going slightly deeper as well. I think Francois Lavoie is also using the phase 2 there. So as you can see, as the day moves on, when he transitions, Darren is just going deeper and deeper. So his break point is still about the same, about bot 9. So if I read it correctly, this goes down. This should be bot 9 to bot 10 at the break point, and he's crossing the arrows at around. Let's take a look. Break point is bot 9, so he's going deeper than earlier. So he's moving further left. So he's crossing the arrows here. His break point is around here. So his line is something like this. So he is actually, his feet is sliding in front of the left gutter. He's landing his ball probably around 35. Like, no, probably about 32, sorry. Probably about 32, 33 at the foul line. And it goes, this is about 27 at the arrows. And it's going to about bot 10 at break point. So that's the line Darren is playing as he moves deeper and deeper in. Yeah, Tom Smallwood is playing the exact same line as well. So if we look at Tom Smallwood line, he's also sending his ball to about, his break point is about 9 at the break point. So he's using, I don't know what ball it is, another motive ball. I guess it's a motive staffer. It's about 27. So about 27 at foul line, about 9 at break point. So his line is about this, something like this. So he's also landing his ball probably about 35, 34, 34 fourth board at the foul line, sending it out there and then having it arc back into the pocket. So the thing with pro bowling is like you see a lot of pro bowlers bowling the same area. It's like when they see a particular bowler find success with a particular line, with some particular equipment, some ball choice, with their axis rotation and all that. So it will spread to the other pro bowlers because the ball reps are helping them to observe what the higher scoring bowlers are doing, and then they'll relay the information around. And if the other bowlers are able to do it, if they have a similar ball with a similar ball speed and they can play the line that the leaders are playing, then they'll try and do it. Because yeah, I mean, why not? You just want to copy whatever is working. So this is why in pro tournaments, especially like PBA tournaments, you tend to see a lot of the pros, like during qualifying especially, end up playing like the same area of the lane. Because if it works for one bowler, or it works for a few bowlers who are in the lead, then the rest of them will want to copy them and try to catch up as fast as they could. Unless you find another line with another set of equipment choice that really works for you, then you're gonna stay with that. Or you are unable to play the same lines that the leaders are playing. So this is why when we talk about trying to improve a bowler and give them more skill sets, especially if they want to like challenge the pros, it is actually more about increasing the versatility of the bowler. Because I mean, if you can like play 10-10 or you can play 5-5 and like you can average 250 in leagues, it doesn't really matter, because when you go to a pro tournament, that oil pattern and the conditions there just doesn't allow you to score 250 average when you play 5-5. You can maybe get 200 average, but you will not win a tournament. So you have to have a versatile physical game in order to copy what the tournament leaders are doing. So in this case, if you see, like if Darren was a tournament leader and he's playing such a super deep line, right? Like he's sending his ball out to like 9 at the break point and he's crossing, like this is the line he's playing, right? He's crossing like fifth and a half arrow. Wait, again, let us repeat that a little bit. So what ball is he crossing here? Yep, so it's crossing 5th arrow. No, 4th, 5th. No, it's crossing 6th arrow, right? So it's crossing 6th arrow and he's sending the ball out to 9 at the break point, and then the ball is hooking in and striking. Then if this is the most successful line to win the tournament on that day, if you're trying to be competitive, you gotta have the physical game to be able to do the exact same shot or as Darren Tang. That means not you don't have to copy Darren Tang's exact physical game, his timing and all that. No, it's not important. But it's the exact same shot, as in you need to be able to roll your ball past the 6th arrow with the appropriate axis rotation. In this case, I think he's rotating the ball probably like 45 to 50 degrees of axis rotation, and then you need to be able to project your ball with enough ball speed to hit board 9 at the break point, and then for your ball to hook back into the pocket. So you have to be versatile enough to be able to create this kind of like different ball rotation, adapt to different ball speed, play a wide variety of lines to the break points, like a wide variety of break points, a wide variety of launch angles. So this is one of the launch angle, and then this is another launch angle, right? If you go straight, this is a much straighter launch angle, and this is a much steeper launch angle. So if you're trying to like be pro, right, or even be competitive in tournaments, you gotta have be versatile in your game. Yep, even Francois Levar is playing in front of ball return, right? They're going really deep. So as the lane transitions and dries up, because they started around 4th arrow, they'll keep going left. So I mean, the reason they want to keep going left is obviously as the lanes dry up. Probably this one was explained before. So when you started, so let's say you start out with 4th arrow, right? Your lines are like this. So you start playing here, 4th arrow, and then as this line dries up, you have to go deeper. So you have to go further left. then whatever you have actually, the lines that you have dried out on the right would help you in a way that it creates mist room to the right. So if you miss a little bit, let's say you miss a little bit to the right, because of the earlier dry here, you'll get your ball to pick up and your ball will roll back onto the same line, and you might either still hit the pocket or it might at least overhook and still have the head pin. So you still reduce your chances of splitting, right? Or like having a washout. Then as you go deeper, obviously you go further left, so that whatever is the breakdown, whatever lines you have dried out on the right is going to be your mist room now, and then you're gonna target the same break point, but with a different set of axis rotation. As you go further and further left, you need to increase your axis rotation ever more and more to get the ball to shape back into the pocket. Okay, the breakpoint is probably a bit further right. Yeah, so it's probably like this. Yeah, here, sorry. So then you go further, then you go further in this way, and then you go further in again, then it's this. So the breakpoint was about 9 actually for this particular day 2's US Open pattern.
Damage control. Not bad. I mean, you're not like...
It's not bad, but I mean, we're 60 out. Probably need or 70 out now. We need a couple big ones.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not going to be easy, so we need some numbers.
I ain't trying to bring you down, but for real.
I'm not too sure about Darren's comment about 60, 70 out. I think it's like 60 away from the cut. Yeah, so they're still trying to chase whichever bowler is in the cut. Yep, so now you can see Darren is like sliding in front of the ball, return is sliding well into the gutter. So his left feet is ending like, well into the gutter area. And he's landing his ball probably around, he has to loft the ball a little bit. Wait, he has to loft the ball a little bit. Let me reverse that a bit. Yep, so he's landing his ball around 34, 35. Yep, but the launch angle now is really, really steep, right? So yeah, so this is another level of versatility you have to reach, like learn how to play in front of the ball return, loft the ball a little bit, not too much. Then his ball is landing like something like this because he's still trying to hit the board 9 at the break point. Yeah, and then it arcs back into the pocket. Oof, 7-10. Yep. So you can see Darren is changing to another ball, so he's using the Storm Fate, which is the Belmo ball. If I remember, I think Storm Fate is a symmetrical ball. Let me try and check it out. Check out the stats. Okay. Right, so the Storm Fate is per ball and symmetrical as well. So he's like balling down, so he went with the Eternity and then he balled down to a phase 2 and now he further balled down to a Storm Fate. That means still a symmetrical ball with similar stats as the phase 2. RG 2.52, a little bit higher RG now, so goes a bit longer than the phase 2, because phase 2 I think was RG of 2.49. Differential is about the same, 0.05-ish. So high differential ball, but it's a pearl ball now compared to the solid cover stock of the phase 2. So it goes a little bit further down the lane, which is what he wants, because he's playing a bit deeper. The lanes are starting to get beat up, so he wants the ball to skid further down the lanes before it starts working. Okay, so next one we have a video from Trevor Roberts. So I think Trevor Roberts is not participating in the US Open, but he's just like, you know, watching from the stands and just recording the bowlers as they bowl. Yep, so I think this is about probably 1 or 2 games into the blocks on day 2, looking at the lines that they're playing. So you see, even for the lefties, they're playing pretty deep. Yeah, the guy is already playing the 5th arrow for lefty. Yeah, here Francois Lavoie is already playing pretty deep. So I think this is at least the middle of the block. Yep, so he's playing about, that is near to the 6 arrow, about board 27 at the arrows. So the breakpoint is still about the same, about board 9 at the breakpoint. So yeah, remember this is day 2, right? So this is the 43 feet pattern, where the oil is really thick in the middle. Okay. So this is why most of the bowlers, they want to keep the ball in the middle part of the lane, because they want to target the area with the most oil, so that it has the most hole, the ball will go far enough down the middle part of the lane. Mr. Smooth Operator, Chris Prater. Oh, we have Ryan similarly as well. I think Ryan similarly also has to play pretty deep. Yeah, it's playing pretty deep. 4th arrow. 4th and a half actually. From the left. Yeah, so the pattern really dictates where the bowlers need to be. So, as I mentioned earlier, you have to be a really versatile bowler if you want to compete with the pros at the highest level. Because they're just gonna, to challenge the pro bowlers, they're just gonna give a variety of oil patterns that will force the bowlers to move around, like to play different launch angles, to use different equipment, to try different ball speeds, hand positions, and so on. So you have to be really versatile if you want to stay, if you compete with the top. Okay, so that's it. So those are the videos for the US Open. So wait, can I have my webcam here? Yep. So basically, yeah. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you've learned something from my so-called reaction analysis to the US Open videos. If there's any questions that you'd like to ask, you can post them in the comments. And if you'd like to contact me, like to send me clips for review, if you'd like to contact me for live coaching. Now I'm starting to do remote coaching as well. So if you're if you're living outside of Singapore and you would like to do like one-on-one coaching with me, you can also contact me. We can arrange to like a time slot where you're bowling and I'm watching you live. That means through either a Discord live stream or like a Zoom live stream, and then I can give you advice in real time, just like a real bowling coach. Just that I'm not physically there, but I'm still able to watch. I'm still able to advise you in real time. So other than that, if you'd like to send me any clips for bowling reviews, for bowler reviews, just send them to me in the various social medias listed in the banner here. And thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time.